A shocking moment when Ukrainian drones dropped grenades on Russian soldiers in a stern warning to the invading forces, as Ukrainian drone bombs sent Russian soldiers scrambling in Bakhmut. In dramatic footage, camouflaged Russian soldiers are seen being thrown to the ground and rolling to avoid the blast from the Ukrainian drone. Russian troops were hit by a deadly bombardment launched by a Ukrainian drone operator on the blood-soaked battlefield of Bakhmut. A Russian tank is seen burning as thick black smoke rises from the wreckage. A bomb was precisely dropped by a Ukrainian drone. The Russian soldier tries to flee as Ukrainian drones drop bombs overhead, running as explosions erupt all around him on the battlefield. Ukrainian troops also managed to overrun Russian positions near Donetsk, with a tank seen supporting Ukrainian troops on the ground as they swarmed the Russian trenches. Footage shows Ukrainian soldiers attaching bombs to drones and flying them over Russian positions. Shortly thereafter, the grenade hit soldiers trying to take cover under a tree branch. As he tried to slowly crawl to a more hidden position, a bomb exploded nearby. Although he managed to avoid the first explosion, the second one seems to be deadly. Footage later shows the battle that ensues as many Russian soldiers scatter across the field when it is bombed by a Ukrainian drone. As drone operators, their role as roving intelligence gatherers puts them at the center of resistance to a Russian invasion. Drones flown by Ukrainian fighters capture immersive imagery of the conflict, allowing the whole world to witness the fighting in person. Ukrainian troops demonstrate the potential of loitering ammunition in ground and air conflicts on the front line near the town of Bakhmut. Ukrainian drones dropped grenades on Russian soldiers fighting in trenches and where troops were hiding. Another drone video posted by the 80th Separate Airborne Brigade also shows Russian troops surrendering in the Bakhmut area. With the help of drones, Ukrainian Marines sped toward the Russian trenches while artillery pounded Russian positions. In drone footage, Ukrainian tanks can be seen destroying Russian trenches and forcing Putin's men to surrender. Fighters of the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, named after Black Zaporozhets, destroyed the Russian invaders' BM-21 Grade rocket salvo fire system. Its operators found a fat target in a field behind the forest line and self-destructed it by throwing grenades. Troops from Ukraine's 68th Jeju Brigade used armed drones to drop explosives on Russian trenches. Footage shows the moment the Ukrainian drone sets the Russian trenches on fire with a single explosive charge. Armed drones played a key role in the war in Ukraine, with both sides using them in large numbers to gather intelligence, repair artillery fire, and drop bombs. In another recording, 501st Battalion of the Ukrainian 36th Marine Brigade assaulted Russian positions west of the Novobakhmutivka settlement in Donetsk Oblast. Footage released by the 501st Battalion appears to show Russian positions being attacked by Ukrainian forces. Ukrainian soldiers forced Russian troops out of trenches using tanks, which shows Ukrainian troops and tanks clearing Russian trenches in the Bakhmut area. It was posted by the 225th Kharkiv Battalion, as Ukrainian forces continued to press their counterattack. Many Russian soldiers were seen abandoning their positions as they ran for their lives. Bombs were seen falling left and right over the large field and into the Russian foxholes, causing heavy explosions in their positions. Another dramatic moment of a Russian ammunition depot being blown to pieces by a Ukrainian drone bomb. Aerial footage shows the moment an ammunition depot was blown up in another devastating attack on Russian troops in Ukraine. Ukraine claims to have killed thousands of soldiers and injured many more in attacks on territory it temporarily controls. Over the past year, the war in Ukraine has gone from a multi-front invasion spanning Kyiv in the north to a conflict of attrition, concentrated largely along a 600-mile stretch to the east and south. Bakhmut has been at the center of hostilities for months. Russian troops attempted to push the Ukrainian military out of the city, while Ukrainian military commanders said resistance by Ukrainian troops there had prevented Russian troops from intensifying their actions elsewhere. Small, hand-launched drones could easily drop explosives from the sky on Russian troops, hiding in trenches and tree branches. The armored vehicles, along with the tanks, were also dropped grenade bombs to pieces by Ukrainian drones. At the direction of the UAV operator of the 71st Separate Hunting Brigade of the DSHV, the artillery unit covered the enemy fortifications near Bakhmut, which was so accurate that there were hardly any colonists left on it. Specifically, the drone hovers over the Russian positions and adjusts its fire. The Battle of Bakhmut is a series of ongoing military battles in and near the city of Bakhmut between the Ukrainian armed forces and the Russian armed forces. The battle for Bakhmut began in May 2022, but the main assault on the city began on August 1 after Russian forces advanced from the direction of Popasna, following the Ukrainian withdrawal from the city. The main strike force consists mainly of mercenaries from the Russian paramilitary organization Wagner Group. The Bakhmut became the center of the war, being one of the few fronts in Ukraine where Russia continued to go on the offensive. The offensive on the city intensified in November 2022 as the invading Russian troops were reinforced by units redeploying from the Kherson front, along with newly mobilized recruits. By this time, most of the front had descended into positional trench warfare, with both sides suffering heavy casualties without making any major advances.